Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you something really powerful, how MCP servers can supercharge what LLMs can do. Normally, LLMs like ChatGPT and Claude are great at reasoning and generating text, but they don't actually know anything about your systems or your data. Think of MCP as being bridges that connect the LLMs to real-world tools, databases in a secure and structured way. Um, With MCP, your AI can go way beyond just answering questions. It can fetch live data, update records, trigger workflow, or even run entire process end to end. In this demo, I'll be giving Claude Desktop and Glen, which is an open source and running completely offline in LM Studio, access to my tools via MCP. Because LM Studios runs everything locally, none of the data actually leaves my computer, and you can turn off the internet. Um, However, my experiment shows that, well, OM Studio works fairly well for the more simple tasks. When it involves complex interaction with the available tools, it struggles a bit without a lot of prompting, and that's probably where Claude Desktop comes in. Bear in mind, Claude is actually it's not just a LLM; it's actually a complete application with memories. Um, so, before we get started, I'll just show you what tools are available for what tools are actually available um, for both models, or rather for both Claude and LM Studio. Giving them access to MongoDB, Neo4j, which is a graph database, SQL Server, and my custom application, which gives them pretty much everything. It's got access to my computer. You want to provide guardrails and limit what it can do there, but it can go and create and save documents in my folder, and as well as perform searches in Elasticsearch and do RAG search. So both LM Studio and Claude Desktop have access to these tools. For the most part, if the task requires accessing only one tool, then LM Studio or the models within it, including ChatGPT, works very well, but it struggles when you're telling it to compare data from different data sources. Yeah. So, and other thing to note is I'm using Qwen, I don't know how to pronounce it, it's a Chinese model, and that works really well. ChatGPT works even better, but it is really slow because of my computer. Everything's running locally on my computer. In terms of what MCP server is, think of it as like a web server, REST API. As a matter of fact, when you go into development, it's essentially inside ASP.NET. So basically, you're, I mean, there's various tools you can build it from, but ASP.NET and bring in this NuGet package. Notice it's still in preview. Model Context Protocol for ASP.NET still in preview, so everything's really new, but it works really well. So I'll just show you. So let's say I'm performing a search against my Elastic database. So I'm saying, can you fetch me cases against that? You run it, and it has hit the breakpoint in Visual Studio. Yeah, just continue. So similar to a API, similar to building a web server, except that this is actually a MCP server that your LLM talks to. So just put this aside. Let's just start off with Claude, because he's really, really impressive with what he can do. So at the moment, I've gave him memory. Now, Claude on itself, generally, if you're working with LLM, they don't have memory, but Claude Desktop is more than an LLM. It's actually an application. It's got LLM memory. But the problem with that is every time you restart it, he's lost most of the previous conversation. Uh, that has changed since, but even then, it's quite limited. So one of the other things you can do is actually go and checkpoint stuff inside your memory database. In this instance, I'm using Redis. Yeah. So at the moment, I've got 3 checkpoints in there, and the contents of that is in here. Um, yeah. So I've stored information there. I've got other stuff in my Redis database, but at the moment, this is what Claude has access to. So starting point, provide a summary of the checkpoints I've currently in my Redis. So he's basically got into via the MCP. He's got into the um, Redis, and he's pulled back the 3 checkpoints that I've made. So that is really useful because at the moment Claude Desktop doesn't have system prompts and so forth. And if you try to provide really complex or advanced integration, it's probably a good thing to load the instructions into memory so that when you start, he will have all that instructions from the outset. Yeah. But even without that, for he's still very impressive. So let's try something first. We said he's got access to MongoDB, so let's see what he's doing. And so scan the recent interactions in MongoDB for sentiment analysis, group by custom key, flags, and let's see what he does. Sometimes he's a bit slow. He's generally very fast. Hmm. He's running a list database. Now you could probably optimize this and provide more instruction, but the thing to note at the moment is I am the MCP, this one for Mongo. It's not my custom. I just grabbed this from MongoDB, and for that reason, it's actually powerful, but it's slower than what you might want. So that's when custom development comes into it. But the good thing about this MongoDB MCP is that it provides pretty much everything that he needs to work with. So he's actually gone in there, pulled the available. I haven't instructed what databases are available, so he's actually has to go in there and fetch it himself. So this is my database at the moment, right? So basically, he's gone in there, looked at all the database, looked at all the collection, and now he's doing his analysis. Now, if you want to skip that, you can limit the database so he doesn't have to go and explore it. But the purpose of this, as I mentioned, is to show you what Claude can do because he's pretty smart. You know, he's actually gone in, scanned through the available databases, looked through all the different collections within the databases, and he's finding the information. Now he's going to summarize it. Sim complete. Uh, there you go. He's doing something. Okay, let's scan interactions. And then before we, that's another task, but the more impressive one is when he starts looking in SQL Server without me telling him, or yeah, which particular table. It's cross-referencing the two different data. So imagine if you've got data in SQL and one in MongoDB or one in Oracle. And now, because the data is integrated, for the first two customers, based on negative current, pull the data from SQL dim customer. I could have not telling which table because most users would know what table to pull it from, but for the purpose of demonstration and just to make things run a little bit faster, provided him with the table he should be looking at. So just to let you know, he's gone into MongoDB, pull the data. He's going into SQL now, pull the corresponding data, and he was going to prepare a report. Um, it's running a bit slow today. Generally, it's a lot faster. This SQL Server also wasn't something I created. It was downloaded from Microsoft. It's powerful, but it's slow because well, it's relying on the LLM to actually go and explore the schemas and so forth. If you want to optimize this, you can tell it exactly the view or store prop to execute, and he'll be able to return all that information. So he's essentially been able to go and pull it back without me actually telling where that information, how the table relates, because he's running in there, describe the table and the relationship, and from there he's able to pull back the data. Now he's going to do a compressive customer. You'll notice that he's pretty slow at the moment. Saving to desktop, I didn't actually ask him to save to the desktop. Um, let's see what he's actually doing. 14. Hmm. Yeah, he's actually saving it to the desktop here, 14th of September, which I didn't ask. But that's okay. He can create in Word documents, PDF, pretty much any format that you want. Not sure why he's running so slow at the moment. In the meantime, I'll show you while he's actually running that. I'll show you with the open source model, yeah? So this one here, I'm telling this open source, I'm using Glen. I've got other models in here. I've got DeepSeek, Meta. Meta works pretty well for a model that size. And ChatGPT, he's really good, but it's really slow, so I try to avoid it. Um, and that's despite me having a pretty powerful computer. So here I'm saying, give me tools in my Elastic database and pull Diane Murray. So the LLM has actually gone in there and started searching for Diane. Yeah. So and then he's able to summarize it. So where's he pulling the data from? He's pulling the data from my Elastic database. I mean, yeah, Elasticsearch. You can use pretty much anything here. Pinecone, pretty much all the same thing. So it's actually, I've gone and embedded the documents. These are legal documents, police report that I've downloaded from Kaggle. So the contents is all been vectorized, chunked to improve search, and my LLM running locally as opposed to the commercial models running totally on my computer. So the data never leaves the network. And then impressive thing is he's able to go and pull like the impressive bit is that there's actually he's able to tell that my search for Diane resulted in two cases, and he's actually able to distinguish that, which is pretty impressive compared to say even 12 months ago when I tried to do something similar. Now, when I say, can you go inside the source information, just chunk ID, because um, that's all I've got at the moment. The purpose of this wasn't to actually go and find the location of the file. So chunk ID, I can go and correspond it. He's actually gone in there and cite where he got the information from. So the case number and the chunk ID, and that corresponds to the chunk that we see in Elastic. So we've got one document that's been chunked three different or several times, and he's able to go and pull it back and cite where he actually retrieved it, which is pretty impressive. Okay, Claude is finished there. So he's saying that this is his analysis, key insights, and then as you can see, he's already saving it in there, even though I didn't ask him to. But previously, I've asked him to save it into a PDF, for example, and he's actually gone in there and saved it as a PDF. Like I said, don't give it too much information when it's running programs against your computer. So within your tools, limit it to that particular folder, and so that he doesn't get access to other stuff. Yeah, just common sense. Now, this is another really impressive stuff that Claude does very well. So let me. So I just gave you new tools to my Elastic. No, let's go to my Elasticsearch. We've shown that he's been even with the local LLM, right? We've shown that he's able to pull it back, but this is where Claude really shines. So we're going to give him the same task, and he's going to go and pull it back. Still can't get over why he's so slow today. 4 days. Okay, so he's actually going into my Elastic database. I'm reading stuff, charges and recommendations. Um, wow, that's running. It's just popping up because I'm giving him access to the tool, always allowed. Don't know why it repeats because I always give it full access. So he's pulled back at the moment. His initial query was that, and he's probably pulled back 10 different cases. And that's probably one thing most people should bear in mind, because RAG search without LLM, it's very limited because you either return too much or return too little. So re-ranking, which is something that I do pretty much every time now, is critical. And to save on cost, you probably want something running locally, because a re-ranking by local model is a lot cheaper than trying to do it via one of those paid calls. Yeah. So at the moment, he's summarizing this information. So this is the police report for Diane Murray. As you can, we can compare this against the open source model. And as you can see, Claude, he's given actually a lot more detail, so you can compare and contrast the two. Yeah. So for the open source, it works well for smaller stuff, like if you're trying to do re-ranking and so forth, doing task pre-processing. But if you do want a full summary, Claude is the way to go, or build your own. So at the moment, he summarized it. Now let's see if we can go and find the same thing this time in my graph database in Neo4j. He's really slow today. And the other thing worth noting is when I tried something similar with the local LLMs, it struggled a lot when I gave it the tools for Neo4j uh, because it wasn't smart enough to actually go and explore the schema. So it kept on asking me for APOC, which is a tool within in Neo4j to go and explore the schema. But with a smart model like Claude, you don't need to give them all the custom tools and so forth. Claude will be able to go and pull that information. Here it is. Claude by default, he'll say the instance therefore does not have that plugin installed. But Claude was, and that's where the open source model struggled. They are all looking for this plugin, and because I haven't installed this plugin, they couldn't get past this. In contrast, Claude's actually gone and say, let's try a different approach. And that's exactly what he's done. So he's gone in there, created his own query. He didn't have to go and rely on that tool, and then he's pulling it back information. The most impressive bit I found was not only is he able to access the data, he can actually go and replicate the visuals that you see inside, well, pretty much any tool. So at the moment, while he's running, I just quickly share this one, Neo4j open, right? So I'm not going to run it this time, but to give you an indication what he can do, he can actually go and create these graphs. So when the results come back, you can say, I want to visualize it in the same way that I see in Neo4 Desktop. And he will be able to go in there, construct your query. You don't need to write custom code anymore. You don't write to NoSQL or Java or a SQL. He will do all that. He will run it. You don't have to tell him how the collections or nodes are all connected. He will figure it out, run the code, pull it back, and reconstruct the visuals for you. I mean, that is really impressive. So he's actually going and pull it back. So he can pretty much run any query that you want to run, and you don't need to explain to him how the data is related. As long as it's well constructed and conforms to how databases should be built, he will be able to go in there and pull back the information, explore the data and pull back what you need and summarize it. Now, the important thing was the information here, coordinates, that is not in my other database. So Diane Murray exists in my Elasticsearch, but information like address, the coordinates, and other stuff are not in there. So he's actually gone in there and pull it from a different system and summarized it. So you can go and pull back data from multiple different sources, consolidate it, and present it in a PDF, um, which to me is really impressive. And he can present all that with these type of visuals in there as well in your output. I'm not going to run that because the visuals there take a bit time for him to construct it because he's actually generating HTML and JavaScript on the fly. You can actually go and prepare that in advance, which I have done. He's got access to that tool, but that's for another time because that will make the process a lot quicker. Now, back to earlier when I said Redis, I asked him right at the beginning, give me all the checkpoints, all right? And he said, oh, you got 3 checkpoints. Now let's try something pretty impressive. Can you checkpoint the details of Diane Murray into my memory so I can recall in the future. So checkpoints, I've got 3 at the moment, and he's going to save that, and that will be persisted forever until I purge it. Yeah. And next time, like in a year's time or next month, I come back in here and I can't remember the information or the discussions. I can just say, hey, Claude, can you go and pull back the checkpoint in history, in memory? He'll pull up all the ones that I have in the database, and then I can say, can you go and elaborate on that? So he's checkpointing that at the moment. And we should see it come through in the moment when I hit refresh. 3, 4, there, bang, it's done. Diane, so we had 3 previously. Now we got 4. This is for our searches. Diane Murray. And he's formatted nice and pretty. So, pretty impressive. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Probably the next one, the next thing to worth noting is seeing him out, but that's for another time. It's seeing him do visuals, and I think with that capability, he's going to make visualization. Um, how would you say it? It's going to change how visualizations are done. But the key thing in that is you're going to need to be people who can optimize your databases to run really fast. What works really well is Neo4j because this is just a really fast database. So yeah, until next time, I think that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed it.